And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome to the show tonight, live from LA, Daniel Sweren-Becker, here to give us the inside scoop on his brand new book out next week, Kill Show. Daniel, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about Kill Show.
Hi, Sarah. Thrilled to be here. Always excited to talk about this book. The book is called Kill Show. It starts with the most cliche setup you've ever imagined. Missing girl, small town, she goes missing. But what the book is really about is the people in Hollywood who descend on this small town and convince this family to make a real-time docuseries about her disappearance. And it's really examining two things: the nitty-gritty mechanics of what making true crime is like for the people on the ground. And then for me, a little more importantly, what the emotional stakes are and repercussions for the people who are turning these tragedies into entertainment and profiting off it. That for me is a really exciting thing to kind of analyze and explore the ethics of.
Well, I am so excited to talk to you about Kill Show, Daniel, because I am a shameless true crime
Me
junkie.
too.
I listen to all the podcasts. I watch all the documentaries. I read all the books. I am Googling late into the night, eating my popcorn, completely obsessed. And this takes a searing, insightful, and very oftentimes funny, which I can't wait to talk to you about, look at the world of true crime. And so many of us are true crime junkies. So I can't wait to get into every delicious detail. But first, I just want to welcome everybody, because we are broadcasting live to 6 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So, hey, mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make them a little less painful for you. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you are new, we are so happy you're here. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Daniel in LA about his true crime obsession. Ask him about his writing practice. Ask him about writing this book. Ask him anything you've ever wondered. Whatever happens on Maven stays on Maven. It's just like Vegas. So go ahead and get on into it. As everyone's typing, just type it in the chat. As everyone is thinking of their questions, I will kick off. We have Randy joining us from YouTube. Hi, Randy. He says, hi, Sarah. Hi, Daniel. Thank you for entertaining us tonight. Randy, I'm loving your black cat profile picture. Very on brand for us. I'm feeling the vibes already. John Hebert joining us from Northeast Ohio. Hey, John, great to see your name pop up. As always, welcome to the conversation. So Daniel, I have some questions. So first of all,
Sure.
You tell this book in the style of a documentary. So people, each person is speaking directly to camera in dialogue. And so I thought to myself, oh my God, am I going to be able to read that? Am I going to be able to get into that? The answer is, oh, heck yes, I am. Oh my God, you kept me up till 1, 2 a.m. every single night in the past week. I actually moved this interview up because I couldn't wait to talk to you. And one of the many things I love about it is how the people disagree with each other about when and where things happened. So tell me about the process of writing in this dialogue direct to camera style, and tell me about the disagreements, because it's so effective and so funny.
Yeah, no, it is an amazing format for me as an author to use. I called it a fictional oral history, which when I would say that phrase to my friends, their eyes would glaze over a little bit. It's like all those words mean something clear, fictional oral history, but I don't think we've seen that many of them. So it's really about 26 people's testimony of events that happened 10 years in the past. And I'm intercutting all of their remembrances, their opinions, what they're doing in their lives right now, and intercutting that. And what that allowed for me is to get into so many characters' heads. And as an author trying to create tension, conflict, they can contradict each other so easily. And I had never really found a style where I could get into people's heads like that. Often I had written in third person narrative and the traditional sense. But here I was in these people's heads. I think the audience can get intimate, familiar with their voices much more easily. And the way I can just interrupt one of them to have someone else contradict with a joke, a disagreement, something about their romantic lives that they don't want revealed, that just made it so much easier to write. I have to admit, I think I might be writing in this style for the rest of my career.
It is so fun. And I think when you hear like oral history, it's told in the style of oral history and fiction, it sounds like, oh, that sounds dry. It isn't, you guys. It's so addictive because everybody, so first of all, you cue in when the person's name is, what their relationship is. So we don't have to remember 26 people's names. You say Casey, comma, the producer, or you let us know every single time who that person is in relationship to the story. So you don't have to memorize 26 people's titles. And what I love is, for instance, and I hope this isn't too big of a spoiler, but Casey, the producer, starts having an affair with the lead detective. And the differences in their testimony are hilarious. She'll be like, well, he picked me up at the bar, and his style, his memory is that she lured him over. Or the difference between the mom and the dad of the missing girl, whose name is Sarah. I mean,
all right, spelled the same way.
Hello, Sarah, no H. I already was like, okay, this book gets 5 stars, gold stars, because you know how to spell Sarah right. Like, I will interview this man. But no, the differences between how the mom and dad remember things, because the thing is about human memory is that it's very fallible. Right. So tell us about that. Did you have to, I mean, because I think my tendency would be to first align everybody's and then I'd have to go back and change them a little bit, or did you just do them misaligned and it was funny to you? I mean, tell me about that.
You're really hitting on one of the things I wanted to explore the most, which is how people's memory of a factual event changes over time and changes from who they are versus the other people's perspectives. And I got to give a shout out here to Taylor Jenkins Reid, who did this with Daisy Jones and the Six. I imagine many of your readers are familiar with that, but I loved that fake oral history about the rock band. And I just thought to myself, this style is so captivating, and I'm obsessed with real oral histories, whether they're about something as dry as the Great Depression or something as exciting to me as the making of Dazed and Confused. So I said, what would be an interesting kind of world to take this competing POV style? And to me, the most obvious case was a true crime situation. And then setting those things 10 years in the past, so everyone has had those years to marinate on things, forget things, convince themselves of things that didn't happen. This was just a perfect mechanism to kind of drive the conflict, drive the narrative tension. It just made it so easy to write.
I love that, because it's so funny, because I mean, you see that in families, right? Did you have siblings, Danielle?
Yes. Me and my little sister certainly disagree on many things from our childhood that obviously happened only one specific way.
Right, exactly. And they'll be like, no, remember we, had this for dinner and then we went on this vacation. No, we did that. And it's so funny. And you'll see it in families, you'll see it in marriages, you'll see it in friendships. We didn't do that, where I never said that. And yes, you did. And it's so true, but it's so funny the way you do it with the parents, or with Casey and the detective. He was interested in me, she was interested, like, it's so funny. Oh my God, I loved it. So Daniel, how long did it take you to write this book? Because it's not that long, but it is complicated in a good way.
Yeah, I'll go a little into the process, which is, for me, I don't start writing on page 1 until I have the entire thing figured out in what I'll call like a bulletproof outline. Ooh. And I always say, in a little bit of a morbid sense, I'd like to write my outline, so if I stepped out of my house and got hit by a bus, someone could find the outline and essentially write the exact same book. So that when you get to the page 1 day and you have that blank screen, that's the easy part. That's kind of just getting it all out, adding a little bit of color to it. But the real hard work for me is the outlining. And I probably did that for 3 or 4 months without typing a word of prose. And then I was able to get this first draft done probably in like 6 months, which was, I think, pretty quickly. I was working on some other things too. And then, to me, I'm not writing what some writers call a vomit draft, which is just like, do it as fast as possible. I am laboring over every chapter and not moving forward until I feel good about it. So the good news on that is, when you do get to the end of that first draft, it feels like it should be pretty much done. The bad news about that style is, when you get notes on that first draft, I'm a little sensitive to it, because people are kind of talking to you like, oh, this is your first draft. Maybe you can change X, Y, and Z, this ending, this character. And I'm like, no, I tried to think of all that stuff so thoughtfully. I really don't want to change that. But inevitably, a lot of those notes are correct. And I've got to give a shout out to my editor, Sarah Nelson at HarperCollins. She had me do some big changes that when she told me on the phone, you're rolling your eyes and upset. And then a month later, your book is better. And you go, oh my God, like smart people giving you notes is such a privilege. Thank God I listened to these people. And then the book becomes better. So that's great.
That's so funny. I actually know Sarah, also know H.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And
Yeah. A
she's
lot
so
of
pretty.
coincidence with the Sarah No H.
Exactly. We have three of us now.
Yeah.
So this is working very well. You guys, the book. Oh, hold on. Someone is saying Wendy's saying that she's having an audio issue. Okay, I don't. Let's see if anyone else is. Wendy, I'm hearing things fine. I'm so sorry that is coming through crackly on your end. I hope that resolves itself. Keep me posted in the comments if it does. Anyone else having an issue, let me know that as well. Meanwhile, you guys, I want to let you know the book is not even out yet. Daniel is coming on for this very special pre-launch event to spill the tea on all things Kill Show and to take your questions live. So you can pre-order tonight, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send your copy out the day the book drops. So whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, here is that link. Click and pre-order so that you can immerse yourself in this case about a missing young girl in Frederick, Maryland, and the Hollywood elite that descend the success motivated producer who
Profit driven. These people are trying to make money on this tragedy, which I find to be very complicated, both for the people doing the job. And then, look, I'm part of the true crime obsessive group also with you, Sarah. And the fact that we demand this product makes me feel a little bit guilty when the producers go out and are beating the streets to find these tragedies.
I want to talk to you about that, Daniel, because
Sure.
Casey doesn't think that she's doing anything wrong. Because in her mind, the way you have written her, at least, she is taking it. She said from a small town case to a national case. She's going to get whatever number of eyeballs are in this case in Frederick, Maryland, to millions of eyeballs nationally. She is going to provide financial sustenance to this family who has very little money in the bank, who is financially struggling, white knuckling it not to go over a cliff. And she says to the dad, which is what convinces him to sign on for this documentary, if your kid is missing, do you want 10 eyeballs on this case or a million? And I think there isn't a person out there, a parent or anybody who's a loved one of a missing person. And weirdly, crazily, I have a friend of a friend who's missing right now. She's an Indigenous woman in Canada. And I have been posting ceaselessly about Casey, trying to get the word out about her. And it's like, if I could have a million eyeballs looking for Casey, I would. So anyone who has a missing person in their life, and I don't even know this woman, she's just a friend of a very, very dear friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I would sign on for that too. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I totally agree that the more attention, the better. And I do believe that Casey goes to this family thinking that she will be helping them by creating more exposure for the tragedy they're living through. What I wanted to get at is there is some real tension between Casey as a producer trying to tell the truth about what's happening or trying to tell the best story. So Casey's not a journalist. She's not law enforcement. She has an imperative from her bosses, from shareholders, to tell the best story and draw in the most audience, generate the most ad revenue, commercial revenue, profits. And oftentimes that storytelling is at odds with the truth on the ground. So what might start as a noble enterprise of, let me help this family by exposing their plight so more people are aware of it, is inevitably going to get tangled up with the profit motive. And I guess the broader question is, like, can you have true crime entertainment that is fair to the people living through it that also exists in our capitalist world? I think the answer is no, but I'm as guilty as anyone of participating in it. I just wanted everyone to think about that a little, and maybe we need to taper back our obsession with it or change the way we interact with it. I don't have the answers. I just have the accusation. That's not the best move, but that's what I'll cop to.
Well, this is one of the many reasons that I was really excited to talk to you about this, Daniel, because these are issues that I'm wrestling with as well. Now, obviously, for those who don't know, my book, Broadway Butterfly, just came out about 6 weeks ago, and it is actually a true crime book, but I tell it in the style of a novel. And my lead character is a crime reporter in New York City at Daniel's hometown, the New York Daily News. And she has to actually wrestle with this because the fact of the matter is that in 2023, today, 30% of murders go unsolved. And in inner city, predominantly Black neighborhoods like Houston, that number rises to 40%. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was shocked when I heard that because I thought we are the most technologically advanced, wealthiest country in the world. We have DNA, we have touch DNA, we have street cams, we have unlimited technological advantages. So surely we must have a 99.999% solve rate for murders. You could have knocked me over with a feather when I learned it's 30% to 40%. So you could kill somebody and get away with it with a 30 to 40% chance. That doesn't sit right with me. The cases that get solved are the ones that stay in the news longer. The ones that are forgotten by time's dust are going to just fester and go away. So where is that balance? I don't have the answers either, but this is something I do want to talk about and explore and think through, because where is the balance? Thank you for all the hearts up on Facebook, you guys. I see you. Thank you. Where is the balance between, so as a journalist, Julia is looking at, has the power to keep the story in the news. Casey, your producer, has the power to keep the story in the news. If the story stays in the news, the case has an exponentially higher chance of getting solved. But to keep the story in the news, you have to keep it juicy and interesting, because nobody wants to read or watch some snooze-inducing monotony. So where is that balance? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think you just hit on so many realities that are true and complicated. And the one thing I don't think I've seen explored in unless that they're in both of our novels, which is what is the emotional cost for the people doing this profession? So I think it's easy to imagine the people going through the tragedy, we can be empathetic to them and imagine it's the worst week or month of their life. But the people who are tasked with knocking on that door, saying, I want to turn your tragedy into a TV show. Here's a check for that. How does that impact them, their moral compass, their relationships, their ability to connect with people, their ability to trust people? I imagine, and look, I actually worked in documentaries for a few years out of college, so I was able to understand the nitty gritty process of it. I never worked in true crime, so I can't speak to that morality. But I imagine that doing this over and over creates some serious tension within you. And I really wanted to explore that in the book.
Ooh, well, what do you all think? Let's put it out to the audience. Let's hear, we're wrestling through it and we don't know, excuse me, have to have the answers. Excuse me. But let's keep the conversation flowing. Robin saying she's excited for the pre-launch party. Me too, Robin. Yay. Daniel, I also want to talk about some of this praise that your book is.
Please do. It doesn't get old. No.
It doesn't get old. Well, I'm going to share it. So let's kick off with Andrew Gross, the New York Times bestselling author. He says this is a truly modern morality play. So I want to talk about this one first because, of course, this is exactly what we are talking about here. And let's take a look at this. I'm going to pop it up so we can all read it together. So here is what Andrew has to say. He says, dun, 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 this is a truly modern morality play in a unique and compelling style that reflects on the uncomfortable connections between greed, ambition, and violence. He says, Kill Show takes a sleepy suburban town and turns it into a true crime battlefield as events careen out of control. Smart, twisty, and satisfying. Congratulations on that.
And I just want to point out something that I think that author, who I'm very grateful for, is hitting on, which is that we have been obsessed with true crime as an audience for centuries. Like the detective novels from the 19th century, of course, Truman Capote, True Blood in the early 20th century. So being obsessed with true crime is not new. What I do think is new that I try to touch on in the book is how we as an audience can impact these things in real time by virtue of simply our attention, our citizen journalism, our social media presences. It's a totally new concept that there can be an entertainment product that the audience is impacting episode to episode or week to week. And I think we've seen that with podcasts, we've seen that with TV documentaries. So hopefully this is one of the first books that actually deals with this contemporary issue in this way.
And we also see it work out positively. Look at,
Yeah.
Adnan Syed, most famously.
Right.
If the Serial podcast, the NPR Serial podcast, had not taken a good hard look at that, there were people working on that case for 20 years, but until the national attention was drawn to it, I didn't see any wheels turning. So very interesting, very meaty things here to talk about. Flynn Berry, the Edgar award-winning author of Northern Spy, deems your book riveting. And I'm going to pop this up as well. Going on to rave that it is original and chillingly plausible. Flynn says this is both an urgent reckoning with the ethics of true crime and a tense, twisty mystery in its own right. I couldn't turn the pages fast enough. So let's pause there because I was also turning the pages fast. So as a non-true crime, but documentarian and now a true crime novelist, what do you think the secrets are to keeping your readers up late?
I think this speaks to something that was really complicated with this book, where I was trying to operate on two parallel tracks, which was having a totally standalone mystery that people would be invested in getting resolution to. And so that involved having suspects and having twists and having clues that the readers can, try to solve as they read along. And then on the parallel track, I'm trying to expose this kind of social commentary about the ethics of true crime. And it was a challenge for me to weave those things back and forth and to find the right balance. I think what really ended up working for me is to just go back to the mystery itself, the missing teenage girl, and know that if this story is propulsive, I can sneak in the social commentary whenever I feel like it. And readers are still going to be excited to keep moving. But that was definitely a challenge.
Interesting, because I think the other thing too is that part of what, for me, as I was analyzing this, what kept it moving for me was the sense of foreboding, where various characters would keep saying, well, I had, the dad or whoever would keep saying, well, if I had known then, or Casey's boss, the executive, whose name I'm currently blanking on, but if we had known then what we know now.
No, you're speaking to something that I was hyper focused on, which was the foreshadowing. And you mentioned a few minutes ago that Casey gets in a romantic relationship with the lead detective. That might be something that some authors might have wanted to save to the middle to reveal, or kind of towards the end of the beginning. But I intentionally put that in a summary in the early pages, and wanted people to feel, oh my God, how is this going to go down? Why is it going to go down? It's just mentioned briefly, but it's a breadcrumb. And if you put enough breadcrumbs in there, I hope people will follow the trail you're leading. And I tried to do some unconventional things, which is, as I mentioned, this is 26 people giving their testimony about what happened in the past. And to help readers, I have a list of the participants, a list of the interview participants. And on that list, just by virtue of seeing what people's jobs are, seeing how their last names may have changed, seeing about the location of where they're doing their interview. So you're not even at page one, and you're looking at this list of people going, how does this person connect with this other person? I'm going to remember that, even though I won't find out for a while. And then when you finally do, I hope you have that aha moment of satisfaction.
Exactly. Like, we know, for instance, that the mother's last name changes. Yeah. So we know this marriage is not going to work out. Is she going to leave the dad and marry someone else? Is she going to go back to her maiden name? We don't know, but we know.
Intentional spoilers, which maybe is a little contradictory, but I hope it works in this book.
Well, clearly it worked, because Publishers Weekly awarded you a starred review raving that Sweren-Becker tackles America's obsession with true crime in this searing whodunit. Nothing is as it seems in this wily mystery, which delivers a double twist that will leave readers shocked. His sharp plotting and expert understanding of true crime tropes elevate the proceedings from a clever gimmick to a slam dunk, the latest in a long line of contemporary thrillers interrogating the public fascination with private tragedy. This scorching indictment stands out. I mean, that is, you should get that tattooed on your face. That is,
On my face? How about an arm, a forearm instead of a
no, you
face?
want to lead with it when you meet people.
Scorching and indictment. Okay. Or
Yeah,
on the
right across
knuckles.
your face, right across your face, right across your forehead, maybe in blinking lights. Maybe just get it, you got to let people know. And they are not the only ones to award you a star review. Booklist also awarded you a star review, deeming the book, quote, gripping. Let's take a peek at that praise as well. They said that Sweren-Becker has crafted a clever, fast-paced, utterly absorbing tale that feeds into audiences' fascination with true crime. Daniel, why are we fascinated with true crime? Why are you fascinated with true crime? Why do you care?
It's a great question that I don't have the perfect answer to. I think there is look, we all love great storytelling. I think that's just human nature. But when that storytelling we know is real, that adds a sense of power, a sense of possibility that it could happen to us or someone we know, a sense of like truth is always stranger than fiction. And if you're getting this great storytelling that you know is not conjured out of someone's imagination, I think there is just something much more personal and intimate about that strikes us to our core a little harder than what fictional storytelling does. I think there's a little bit of satisfaction that like this thing didn't happen to me. Like maybe I'm lucky enough that I've avoided such a thing. And also we get off a little on the fear that, okay, I need to be worried about this thing. I guess the short answer is it causes an emotional kind of power in us that we don't get from fictional storytelling. I think I just lost your audio. Is that
So I'm saying,
you're
so
back?
you feel that buzz, that you feel those emotions.
Yes, when I know this thing is real, I'm just more sensitive, got those goosebumps going than when I know someone just thought of a great imaginary story.
The other thing that's interesting, Danielle, that I've been thinking about a lot is that most victims of crime are women.
Yeah.
And yet, most consumers of true crime are also women. So, what is it about? You would think that if you were the target victim demographic, you might not want to read about the horrible things that could happen to you or listen to the horrible things that could happen to you. But in fact, it's the opposite. Women devour it and are the primary audience. And I've been thinking about that a lot because that's me, right? Like I devour it. And I think it's also a matter of preparedness because I think to myself,
Interesting.
if this happens, I'll know if I know all the different ways that a perpetrator can jump out of the
Right.
bushes wielding a knife, but I know the zombie kill shot, right? And we saw that, for instance, in Dirty John, the documentary about the guy who posed as the doctor. The reason the daughter survives is because she knew the zombie kill shot. Right?
Oh my God. I didn't see the show. I only heard the podcast, but that's wild. I guess I'm relieved to know that someone listened to true crime and used it in an effective way. But
saved her life.
What I think you're getting at is we're all voyeurs, right? We all kind of turn our head at the accident on the highway. And just to make a kind of super simple analogy, if I saw an accident on the highway and the car was literally identical to that car for an extra beat longer and just feel more connected to that car, and to take it to a much more serious place, that might explain why women are the biggest consumers of these stories, because they do feel that connection to the victims that are being described.
That is very interesting. Well, I mean, it is, yeah, it is such an interesting, compelling level because I also am, I just read Joe Pompeo's Blood and Ink.
Okay,
and I'm interviewing him the first Monday of December. And that case is 110 years old. No, 102 years old. And that was really the first case that started to one of the first cases that started to dominate the headlines and really, kicked off this true crime obsession. And it just is so interesting. And 100 years later, we're still reckoning with all of these issues. You guys, I want to remind you, the book is not even out yet. Daniel is coming on in this exclusive sneak peek to give us all of the backstory on his writing, his thoughts about true crime, and about why we're fascinating. What are the ethics? So the book is not even out yet. This is a very exclusive sneak peek. And you can click and pre-order no matter where you are watching from, on Facebook or YouTube. Here is that link. Click and pre-order. I'm telling you guys, this book is so freaking addictive, and it is so funny. I love to laugh, and I love to make other people laugh. And it's the misalignment of the testimonies.
Yeah.
It's just so relatable and so funny. I absolutely loved it. So grab your copy of Kill Show now, and then let us know what you think. Is Casey? Is
she to blame for these events, or is she innocent? I'd love to hear from people.
I would also love to hear it. I can't wait to hear it. So, as always, the real tea is spilled over at Mystery and Thriller Mavens, which is the free and private Facebook group. So we talk about all our latest reads and dish the dirt. So go on over and join us, free and open to all. I'll pop the link in the comments as well. All right, y'all, we are out of time. Time flies when you are having fun. Holly, thanks for watching. Mike, great to see you. I'm just seeing everybody. I want to say hi to everyone. David, thanks for tuning in. Wendy, Heather, Jane, so great to see you. Thanks for joining. Gabby, Catherine, Robin, Lorraine, another Robin, Sharon, Cincy, Denise, Laura, Antonio, Debbie, Carol, Connie, thank you so much for tuning in. So great to have you all. Daniel, thank you for coming on in this exclusive.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. I appreciate you talking about the book. I appreciate being here. It's been great.
Yay! All right, y'all, that is a wrap on Mystery Monday. I will see you next week with Ashley Winstead and Jean Kwok. You're not going to want to miss two of fall's other big books. I hope your week is off to a killer start, and I will see you then.